It's now 8:23, time for In Conversation, and my guest today is an award-winning exercise instructor, but not just an exercise instructor. Julie Robinson decided she wanted to teach exercise to older people and or disabled people who find it difficult due to health conditions and limitations. So she founded Move It or Lose It in 2010, and she dedicated her career to motivating thousands of people to keep active in later life. The exercise classes are, as I said, specifically tailored to help older people. So, Julie, what can you do with me as someone who's staring 60 in the face?
Oh, yeah, you're very young compared to most of the people that come along to our classes.
Oh, I'm glad you said that.
But really, I think it's always about doing things that people enjoy doing that makes sure that they keep active, even if that's just things around the house. So what we're not talking about here is the kind of exercise that people often perceive, oh, this is going to be hard, this is about running, this is about going to the gym. It's about just planting the seed that they can do little things in their home every day, and also if they can get along to a class, they've got the social aspect too that's going to have a really dramatic impact on their quality of life, on their independence, and really on their mental health as well.
Now, this isn't just a new thing for you, keeping fit. You were formerly a PE teacher, weren't you? So let's just go back to the start. Where does it all begin?
It all begins when I first qualified as a teacher way back in 1981 at a school in Wolverhampton, and I was teaching young girls who really hated going out on the hockey field, and this is where many of those negative perceptions of exercise start. They hated going out in the cold and the rain and the wet, and I had to find a way to motivate them. Now, it was really lucky. At that time, Jane Fonda started to come on the scene, and of course no one had ever heard of the word aerobics in that way, and the leg warmers and the leotards and the music, it meant that there was something for me to do when we did our indoor sessions that would get those girls moving who otherwise absolutely loathed it.
Because I was going to say that, because that is true. If you've had a bad games teacher, or just someone who just, you just don't... I mean, I remember from my school days, and we called her Woolly Waldridge. She's long gone, so I'm not libeling anyone. And it was just, she just... No, you just didn't... she didn't do anything for me anyway. And that put me off sport for the rest of my life.
It does, and that's the sort of thing that stays with people all the way through their life. So they always then think exercise, negative connotation. And if we can just turn that around to show that there's always something that you can find that appeals to people. And for us, it's always this bringing together of people. It's this community that can just completely transform that kind of negative perception. Oh, suddenly it's me, I can do.
We're going to hear your first choice of music, because that's what you're here for, to tell us what music you like. And I this is lovely, so tell us. It's Doris Day.
Que Sera Sera. Now, I found with this one that it's worked with all age groups. Even when I've done tester sessions for, say, medical students, really young, everybody seems to know the words. But what I love about this is that once it's on, people who are there a little bit scared about exercising, they're singing along, their arms are up in the air, and it makes everybody feel happy.
Llewella Bailey
on BBC WM 95.6.
Radio for the West Midlands.
Welcome back. It's now 8:34, and my guest, my In Conversation guest this morning is Julie Robinson. Julie founded Move It or Lose It, which is a type of exercising, isn't it, Julie? You were saying earlier on, it's like a package.
Yes, it isn't just about going off to the gym and doing a few of these exercises. It's about making it part of your everyday life, really. Things that you can do even in your own home, but particularly if we can try and get people out and to our community classes, then we can show them more exercises. They can be together in a group, have some fun and socialise as well.
And you specifically target, don't you, older people and disabled people.
That's right. The ones that really think, oh, I can't exercise, or have maybe given up or been given up on. And that's absolutely not right. You know, everybody can achieve something. So I've worked with people with secondary cancers, people with MS, and we run those groups at St Giles Hospice. And for them, it's really important that they can still get up and get dressed. And those everyday tasks are really dependent on them maintaining that strength in their muscles and mobility in their joints. But isn't that true of all of us? You know, as we're starting to get older, things start to hurt a little bit.
Oh, I know.
It's just at that point we've got to start doing just a bit more, not a bit less.
You were saying, obviously you've got a lot of get up and go. You know, I can imagine you inspiring people. And you were saying earlier on that you started off as a PE teacher in Wolverhampton. I mean, was sport always something that you wanted to do, or you're always interested in?
Yes, I always loved running about and being very active. You know, I wanted to play netball and I wanted to do gym and everything. So it was a natural thing for me, and I loved my PE teachers. So again, doesn't that have an impact on you?
Because I said I didn't. I mean, I used to just sit on the radiator the whole time during games. Anything to get out of games, I can tell you. But as you say, you know, I'm being flippant, but if you have a poor teacher, that's it. Then I just shut down. I thought,
exactly right. And I wanted to be one of those PE teachers that would make people love to move like I did. And then as I sort of went through my teaching career and I had children, then I started to teach in primary schools. That's where, again, PE at that point, some teachers, this is going back a little while, weren't interested in sports. So they'd stand there in the playground with the coat on and say, kids, run round, oh, it's raining, let's go in. And I thought, well, what can we do? So drawing the snakes and ladders and noughts and crosses, all those sort of games onto the playground.
Games, yeah.
I painted the floor at the school that I was at, and we started to get the dinner ladies to take out bags of equipment, because, again, children need to be encouraged. I think every one of us needs a bit of motivation to keep up our activity levels.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, we're going to hear more about Move It or Lose It, but your second choice of music is one of my favourites, and that's Sister Sledge.
Well, we are family. This is a real favourite of my own family, and we're very close-knit, you know, my sisters and all of our extended family.
Are they sporty?
No, they're not, no.
I just got visions of you all.
Not at all. We're really not one of those super healthy, like, run-around families, I promise. But this song always gets us moving, and I actually think that feeling of family we also get in our classes. So you get this on and everybody wants to have a little dance.
My guest this morning on In Conversation is Julie Robinson. Julie founded Move It or Lose It in 2010, and since then she's helped thousands of people keep active in later life. And as we were saying earlier on, Julie, you especially target older people or disabled people, which, you know, that is an area, isn't it? That they are a bit neglected, aren't they?
Yeah, and yet we look at the population and the demographics as all at the moment 11.5 million over 65s, and this is just set to keep growing. But it isn't about living longer, it's about staying healthy. It's our health span that's important. And at the moment, the last 16 years of life is spent in ill health on average. Well, that is a really awful impact. That means people aren't enjoying their life. And yet about half of these health-related conditions can be attributed to being inactive. So if we can just get people to move more and sit less, we can actually really change their life, reduce their risk of all the horrible things.
And probably, I would imagine, get people to, I mean, you know, we were saying, we were laughing earlier on about the 60, which is an age that I'm looking at very, very soon.
Yeah.
But I guess if you get people when they're that age, we'll take it right through to our dotage.
Very much so. If we can just make sure that people recognise there are things that they can do. One of the things that's neglected the most is strength, because people think, I'm walking the dog, and that's brilliant, absolutely. But what we do need to add in, and all the research shows, at least twice a week, we've got to do something that is a resistance exercise. That just means a pushing or a pulling or a lifting. In the class, we use resistance bands, which people can even do sitting down in a chair. But if you are pretty mobile, that's where your gardening and your housework and lifting some weights is going to maintain muscle mass.
You see, the thing is, though, Julia, I know what you're saying is it's great, and I'm sure there are loads of people thinking the same thing. But we're all human.
Yep.
And I know I go through bouts of I'm really, really healthy and I'm springing out like a little Springer Spaniel going out with the dogs and all that. And then I open that fridge door and I see the cheesecake winking at me and that's it. And then it's all gone.
Yes.
Gone.
And it is, I think, about moderation, because what we're saying is we absolutely recognise people are not going to go out there and exercise like they should do every single day. Like the recommended guidelines are 150 minutes of moderate activity a week. What we're saying is break it down into 10-minute chunks and make it as doable as you can. So we've even got something simple that's called the cuppa routine. When you go and pop the kettle on, you're making a cup of tea several times a day. Use that 2 minutes and you can do 4 simple exercises in your kitchen. When you add that up at the end of the day, it really makes a difference. Balancing exercises as well, which are really good as you start to get older. Lifting up tins of soup out to the side is working the arms and the shoulders.
Taking the wine out the fridge.
Lifting the wine is always a good exercise.
Yes. Now you very clear. I mean, it's quite amazing that you've got quite a great pedigree. I mean, you've helped in the Centre for Healthy Ageing Research at University of Birmingham. You've brought out DVDs. You know, you work for the Falls and Fracture team at the QE. You've really achieved a lot from that PE teacher in Wolverhampton so many years ago.
Well, do you know, I am so passionate about what I do, and when you see the difference, when someone comes along and says to you, I can now get up the stairs, or my diabetes has disappeared, and when people tell you that, you think, do you know what, we need to spread this, and so thousands more people can enjoy a better life. And so by training more instructors, we really hope that we can bring this magic of move it or lose it to them too.
Brilliant. Well, we've got a bit more to talk about. You've brought in some pom-poms, which I'm getting very nervous about. I don't know what you're going to be doing with those. But we've got to go over to David Moore and get a travel and traffic update. So stay there, Julie, because we're going to hear lots more from you. My guest this morning is Julie Robinson. Julie founded Move It or Lose It, and she's here to tell me a little bit about her life, but also about her passion for getting people out there and out and about and doing their bit. Now, I was saying before we went to the to David Moore to get a travel and traffic update, the pom-pom. You've got a pom-pom in. Here.
Yes. Give it a shake there,
What's this
Llewella.
for, Julie?
Well, what we do is a really serious thing, and using equipment and so on is going to help people keep up their muscle strength and their mobility. But we know that the best exercise you can do is the one that's fun. So we use pom-poms, which actually you can see we've made out of carrier bags.
Oh, really? Oh, yes.
They are.
I've just noticed.
They're homemade
a well-known
pom-poms.
store.
Indeed. And once you pop these in people's hands, even the most reluctant can't help giving them a bit of a shake. And what I've done is many demonstrations for organisations, and when people see this is the bit they remember.
It's rather like if you give people a flag, we all automatically wave it. I think it's the child in us, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
So I've even got like chief execs of the NHS giving their pom-poms a shake, along with big burly firemen, through to people sitting in a care home. So somehow these pom-poms have a little bit of magic attached to them, and they do get people moving who might not otherwise want to.
Lovely. And you've also brought out a book,
Yes.
Stay Fit for Life, which I'm looking at now. And the interesting thing about this, Julie, is that it's all full of pictures of people doing sort of, if you like, normal things, sitting in chairs, hanging out the washing, using a watering can. And what you're saying is this could be just all part of your exercise of the day.
It is indeed. So lovely to get people to a class, and that's where they can socialise and have fun and be shown the exercises. But what about the other 6 days of the week? And so this was actually funded through the Falls and Fracture team and the University of Birmingham to help people see these are little things they can do in the home. Very real people, or people that come to my classes, doing things in their own home to help improve their flexibility, their aerobic, their balance and their strength. That's why we call it FABS. And it makes you realise you can do something every day that will have an impact.
Well, honestly, Julie, I think you are. I mean, I'm not just saying this. I think you are an inspiration. You really are.
Thank you.
And you look great. So if I can look like you, I'm going to go home and make several cups of tea and see if that
and
works.
shake a pom-pom.
I'm going
there
to
you
be
go.
beautifully slim by this time next week. Julie, it's time to say goodbye. We just need to know what your last choice of music is and why.
Because we've been talking about the pom-poms, this is the one that everybody loves, and they really get into it, especially on the chorus when they're singing ole ole. And so this is the one we're going to have a little go at now then, Llewella. Okay. Well,
Julie Robinson from Move It or Lose It. Thank you very much for
Thank
joining us on
you.
Sunday Breakfast.